cleave names.
I have to say, with regionals on the line, Evangeline is not going to be blowing kisses. He's going to be blowing vengeance. He's going to be wanting to take victory here in this best-of-5 series. Both of these teams are facing elimination from Qualifier Cup #1, and the victor gets a nice, shiny seat, the second seat at the North American Regionals later this year. So I'm really excited to see this match, as the gates have opened. Two RETS are going to be using that hit-and-run strategy that we saw earlier from Northern Gaming Red. So they're going to be jumping in, trying to force some cooldowns, and then jumping away to try and survive. So look for two RETS to be going in and out over and over.
Yep, and they're already starting to put a little bit of pressure in onto Asber there, just putting a couple of hits onto him, and now Inviolable taking tons of damage, down to 5%, already has to use Deterrence and Roar of Sacrifice. He did use his Crows as well, but he also pulled he actually got an execution sentence from Evangeline just to be able to heal him up, unless that was an offensive one from Cubsy, but I kind of doubt that. Inviolable taking giant chunks of damage. He's still in trouble, has to actually use his second Deterrence already. No Spirit Links yet from Joxy, which I find kind of surprising, but at this point, like, there's just the sheer amount of damage that Inviolable is taking. I don't blame him at all for using those Deterrences. In fact, it's probably good that Joxy hasn't used his Spirit Links, because he's going to need those at the rate this is going.
Asber is literally dominating Inviolable. I have never seen a level of domination like this. Asber just wants this so bad. But we see Evangeline counterattacking now onto Asber with no Barskin. This could be an opening, trying to punish that cooldown usage later, but Cubsy sees it coming. Good reaction from Cubsy. He's going to save Asber through Evangeline's assault. Inviolable is the one that needs to be careful. He's hugging his shaman. It's like, here, please stay next to me. I need you. Keep me alive. I have nothing to keep this match going. And as long as Inviolable and Joxy can stay together, I think they're going to be able to stay alive for this next attack. We see actually a stun on Evangeline to deny his ability to remove this polymorph, and everybody's crowd controlled at the moment. He's actually doesn't have any sacrifices, so Inviolable's completely alone. How is he going to make it out of this alive? He's just desperately running circles around the pillar. Star Surges are coming out, and Asper's looking to finish this. Solar Beam over into Joxy. He gets freedom now into a full clone, and Inviolable will fall. Asper just start to finish annihilating Inviolable. Northern Gaming Red are going to lead this series 1-0.
That was, let's call that convincing. I would say that was a pretty straightforward, convincing match. Northern Gaming Red just basically saying, yeah, you guys beat us earlier. Just sit down, please. Just calm down. Inviolable, you're gonna have to take a nap for a minute. And in fact, that was what happened.
That was a dirt nap.
Yes, and exactly. Wow. So that was a 2-minute match. Bit of a change of
#1 right now.
Yep, the winner of this series will qualify and move on to regionals in Columbus later this year and have a chance at that $100,000 prize pool. The loser will just have to try again next time. So the gates are just about to open here. Northern Gaming Red up against two RETS, up 1-0. We'll see if two RETS can turn it around here on Dollar on Sewers.
Yeah, we see the gates have opened. Two RETS a little bit reluctant to run in. Asber is not. This is a huge amount of confidence to just stand on top of the entire enemy team. Asber is just playing right in their face. He is taking a bit of damage, though, in return. We see the Celestial Alignment popped right away from Asber. They're going on to Joxy. What on earth is going on? Asber is just destroying everybody. Joxy barely getting that Spirit Link. I think he hit like 0%.
He was at 1%,
Asber, though, now is pretty low on health. He has Barkskin, but he's not using it. Finally deciding to use that Barkskin to deflect that initial pressure. Two RETS finally able to force a cooldown back. Despite that scary pressure, Joxy kept a cool head and only used one cooldown.
Yeah, actually, it's amazing that he got away with just one Spirit Link in that opener. So now, with that Celestial Alignment down, for Asber, it's no longer active. That means that two RETS now has the opportunity to sort of take a breather and try to figure out what they're going to do. Right now, what they're going to do, though, is take a whole lot of damage. Looks like even without that cooldown, Inviolable's still just struggling to stay alive here, taking big chunks of damage from Sam AM. We saw the Ice Novas coming out there just a second ago, just chunking him down. Now caught into a Cyclone. That's a nice offensive Cyclone from Asber. The point of that is just to lock Inviolable at low health until they can maybe follow something up onto Joxy. We're gonna be watching to see if any sort of cooldowns or any sort of CC can land on Joxy. Doesn't look like they were able to get into the positioning for it, so it's not quite able to work out for him in this case. But still, that's a good move from Asber just to even try for it. Now he's moving in once again. He's got that Solar Beam down, trying to put some damage into Inviolable here. But Asber actually seems to be taking the brunt of the damage himself, trying to get a Cyclone out. Does not actually able to land. It looks like that got grounded by Joxy. Great move there. And now Asber may be in some trouble here, dipping down about 30% health. He's going to have to go ahead and use his Stampeding Roar and get back out of there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a close call, but he will survive. Cooldowns actually looking pretty solid for 2 RETS. They've got a lot of cooldowns to keep their momentum going. Unfortunately, Avengeling only got the Avenging Wrath out from Cubsy, so just a 1-for-1 trade from the Paladins. They were looking to get maybe a little bit more than that. I was surprised that they didn't swap to Cubsy. Cubsy used his bubble to break out of crowd control. I was expecting a swap, but they didn't do it. Here comes another attack out from Northern Gaming. Red and Viable is completely alone at the moment. Avengeling finally leaving crowd control, giving him a bit of a heal, trying to pick him back up, and Viable actually choosing to trinket. So very important that he chose to trinket without using his cooldown. That's his #1 way to activate. But I guess they're just looking for a kill. Asper on low HP. He's trying to get away. He's finally getting punished for this aggression that he's been putting on. And Cubsy's struggling a lot to deal with the pressure. If he gets interrupted on any of these heals, Asper could go down. But unfortunately, Northern Gaming Red completely prevented that from happening. Really well played. Just locking in Viable and Avengeling down so that Cubsy had the time to recover.
Yeah, it gave him just the time that he needed to top Asper back off. And Asper now, he's going to be looking to just murder somebody in about 20 seconds. His Celestial Alignment will be up. That's the icon that kind of looks like a blue icon with a silhouette of a tree down there. About 13 seconds left on that cooldown for Asper. Once that's up, we're going to see some serious damage start happening. Eventually getting put into this Cyclone, just sort of trying to set up at this point is really all they're looking for. Now, with that Celestial Alignment just now becoming available for Asper, I feel like we're going to see them starting to push in here very soon. Here's Asper now moving in. He's going to maybe go around the other side. No, he's just going to charge right directly in here and start looking for a target. There's the Deep Freeze onto Joxy, the stun onto Inviable. They follow it up with a full Polymorph onto Joxy. Inviable has Blessing of Protection up, but it's not going to stop the Celestial Alignment from Asper. That's so much damage that he's still taking. Down to 20% health. He pops out the Deterrence finally. That is only his first Deterrence of the game. He has one more available that he'll still be able to use. And 2 RETS actually held on to a ton of their defensive cooldowns through that.
Yeah, that was a really good reaction to Asper's assault, and I'm surprised to see them play so defensively right now. They deflected that attack perfectly, and I would have expected an immediate response, but instead, playing it safe, staying very far back. Something that's interesting enough is that Northern Gaming Red have been killing Inviable's poor little scorpion pet over and over. He's been forced to revive it constantly, so Northern Gaming Red are kind of pestering Inviable so much. He needs to keep a cool head if he wants to claim victory here. It looks like Northern Gaming Red are trying to make a push, but they do get clotheslined as they're coming in. Now a bit of pressure over onto Asper. He's in full retreat. He's trying to get away and get out of line of sight, but this could just be the end of the game. Cubsy is not responding. He's relying on that Save by the Light Shield to keep Asper alive. They keep chaining the CC together. Asper dipping dangerously low, but Cubsy calculating the damage. He was able to sit through all of that CC without bubbling, and now casting freely huge heals with his Avenging Wrath up.
Yeah, that's the mark of a great healer. He knew that Asper was going to be able to stay alive with everything that was available at that point. He knew that he could hang on to that Divine Shield, and that's a 5-minute cooldown for a Holy Paladin. That's pretty long. Evengeline, unfortunately for him, had to use his Divine Shield there for just a second. He took a big chunk of damage. It is a much shorter cooldown for him, but it's still a major one, and so that leaves him very, very vulnerable. Now Cubsy using his Divine Shield. Now that he has it available, he's able to use that to keep Asper alive through that just sudden surge of damage coming out from 2 RETS. But it feels like Northern Gaming Red, they're kind of finding their feet here.
You know what I want to see happen from 2 RETS? Next setup, do the same thing. Go after Asper, look to get Cubsy's trinket. As soon as Cubsy has used his trinket, the next Hodge eventually just goes full ham, pops Avenging Wrath, and goes after Cubsy in a swap. I really want to see that happen. So this next attack from 2 RETS, they're committing it to Asper. This is exactly what they need to do. They need to get that sacrifice off Asper. They do manage to purge it off. Good awareness from Joxy. They get the trap. This is where they need Cubsy to trinket. They're really hoping for him to trinket this trap, but they don't get it. Asper in a good defensive position to allow Cubsy to sit that trap. Now there's no opportunity to swap to Cubsy later on. They will be able to commit to Asper, though, getting that bark skin. In the next 30 seconds, Avengelion is going to be looking to make a big play.
Yeah, they're just going to be setting up here again, just looking for that opportunity. As soon as that Avenging Wrath is available for Evangeline, shortly thereafter, Inviable will have his Crows available, his Murder of Crows ability. They're going to have tons of on-demand burst at that point and just be looking for an opportunity to murder somebody. That said, Asper's Celestial Alignment's coming up in 13 seconds. He's already moving in here. He's got the Solar Beam down. He's looking for an opportunity to start setting up for this, maybe going in a little bit too early. Now the Avenging Wrath is available for Evangeline. Is he going to go ahead and use it, or are they just going to worry too much about trying to, or worry, I shouldn't say too much because it's probably a good idea, worry about backing off here for just a second and healing up, and it looks like that is going to be their choice. They're going to back off. They did it. They got Cubsy's trinket without Evangeline using his major cooldown for damage. Nice. Now he has no bubble, he has no trinket. Perfect time to attack.
But you also have to look at Asber. What cooldown just came up for him? We've been talking about it a lot. His Celestial alignment. So the ultimate for Evangeline, the ultimate for Asber, both available. These guys are going to be the playmakers for this next attack. And I think whoever pulls the trigger first might just take victory here. Joxy has everything available to deflect it. So two Rets, they need to stay alive, but they've got 26 seconds before Cubsy's bubble comes up. And if that bubble comes up, they lose their opportunity.
Yeah, it's really is just sort of hinging on Cubsy's bubble at this point. They need to move in quickly if they're going to make anything happen, but it looks like it's actually going to be Northern Gaming that's going to move in here. Asber coming in. He has not yet used his Celestial alignment. The Murder of Crows is coming out from Inviolable. They're trying to put some damage into Asber. No Avenging Wrath yet from Evangeline, so it's really just that Murder of Crows ability that's been used so far, but Asber's still taking giant chunks of damage. There's the now Avenging Wrath coming out from Evangeline. He's trying to put as much damage into Asber as possible. Asber's just running around as a bear at the moment, just trying to stay alive. Now turning it back around, he's going to go for that Cyclone, lands the Cyclone onto Evangeline, and any moment now we're going to see that Celestial alignment. There it is, the Celestial alignment coming out. He knows that he can start trying to punish two Rets. He's just pumping damage into Evangeline right now. There's a Deep Freeze onto Joxy. That's going to force Evangeline to use his Divine Shield. And what's two Rets do in this situation? Do they just stay aggressive or do they back off again?
They're trying to find an opportunity on Asber, but Asber's basically all the way on the other side of the map. There's no way they can catch up. So Asber had good awareness to that setup. And two Rets, they're playing a very good standard matchup of just rinse, repeat, CC on healer, damage on Asber. Very good, solid standard game. But when you're at a composition disadvantage, you need to have some surprise. They lost their opportunity to surprise them earlier, and now Northern Gaming have a lot of cooldowns to deflect any attacks. We see Asber using his Bark Skin. This will reduce a lot of pressure. Now Northern Gaming Red are trying to launch an attack. I'm a little bit uncertain who they're trying to go after. I guess Evangeline's making it kind of hard by sitting on these boxes, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get anything done. And Northern Gaming Red, they see that. They're just going to pull back, build up some damage, develop some more burst for the next attack.
Yeah, two Rets actually doing a great job of just recognizing when, okay, we're not going to win right now, and if we push in, we're going to lose. So we need to back off. We need to heal up. It may not be the most opportune time for us to back off. Like they obviously they want to stay aggressive and they want to be pulling cooldowns out of Cubsy, but if they push in, they would lose. So it makes the most sense overall for them to back off and say, all right, we missed this opportunity. We've got to wait for another one a little bit later on. Evangeline just coming down here, just going to tickle Samayam a little bit with his sword, which is not a great implement for tickling. It tends to leave lots of cuts and bruises, and I wouldn't recommend it. As we're taking big chunks of damage, and Viable suddenly getting swapped to taking a big chunk as well. He does have deterrences available, both of them, and he may have to use one right here. In fact, there it is. The deterrence comes out. Joxy's going to be able to start pumping out a couple of heals there, and Viable doing a great job locating his healer and getting over to him in a hurry. As soon as that big chunk of damage starts happening, Joxy did use his Ascendance in there as well, but still has his Trinket available and both Spirit Links. So two Rets should feel fairly comfortable right now, but that can change in a hurry. Asber, though, taking big chunks of damage and could be in some trouble. He's just going to go ahead and Displacer Beast out of there, and actually gets the bubble and a bop out from Cubsy. The bop is still active on Asber, which is going to lower a lot of that damage coming from two Rets. But that's a lot of important cooldowns pulled out of Cubsy.
Two Rets are in such a good position. As long as they keep this up, they're looking good to win the match. They've gotten Asber's Barkskin. They've gotten Bubble out from Cubsy. The next stun could be the end of the game. It looks like Northern Gaming Red are going to lead the attack, though. And Viable, actually not going to be the target for now. They're actually going after Evangeline. I think this might be a tad bit of a mistake from Northern Gaming Red. They don't get any cooldowns, and now they are under fire by two Rets. The Ret Dream is trying to stay alive. Asber on the run. He doesn't want to make that a reality. Cubsy deciding to sit through this trap. This could be a critical mistake. He barely trinkets at the last second to connect the heal, but it's not enough. Asber gets knocked down, out of line of sight, desperately trying to stay alive with the Shadow Meld Cyclone. Actually onto Joxy. What a crazy play from Asber. Despite being so low on HP, he actually continues going for aggressive CC, but the final trap has been landed, and two Rets finally weather the storm and claim victory on map number 2, now tying the series 1-1.
And two Rets really needed to close that out right then when they did, because Joxy no longer had his Trinket. He did still have Spirit Links, but he didn't have his Trinket, and Northern Gaming had been doing a really good job of CCing Joxy. That, coupled with the fact that Asber's Celestial Alignment had just come back up, meant that two Rets was about to have to deal with another big, scary burst from Northern Gaming Red. So it was really, really important for them to secure that kill there, and that's exactly what they did.
I am on Warlock, and again, that's his alt class. These aren't their main classes, so they're relying on a comp advantage over a conditional confidence advantage. So two Rets, if they're 100% in this matchup, if they've got a game plan to take NG Red down and they're not ready for it, they might be able to overcome the composition disadvantage.
Yeah, definitely. It's absolutely possible. I do feel like the composition advantage for the Lock Shaman team versus the Cupid Cleave is pretty strong on this map, but we'll have to see. We'll find out here very, very shortly if 2rets is able to deal with this. They're already just moving in here and going crazy onto Asber on that Elemental Shaman. He's taking big chunks of damage, but as of yet, no really major cooldowns used. The Iron Bark does come out from Cubsy, but that's only a 1-minute cooldown, so that's not that big of a deal. And now Northern Gaming is starting to turn this back around. They are going after Inviable. Inviable is just going to go ahead, run over here behind this pillar, using the advantage of the map against his opponents and actually getting away.
They actually baited a cooldown up from Cubsy there. Eventually was kind of just whacking everybody, trying to bait cooldowns, and he did get one up from Cubsy. So really nice move from Eventually. That's going to open up an opportunity maybe later to swap to Cubsy. Definitely seems like they're pressuring him the most. And the only thing, though, is if it's predictable, Cubsy will know it's coming. So, and right now he's in a good position to deflect it, just line of sighting. But he is away from his team. He gets stunned out of bear form, and despite predicting this swap, he's still in an immense amount of trouble. He gets stunned on his blink. Cubsy in a lot of trouble. Uses an Inviable at the same time. Just gets collapsed on. You don't even see it coming. 2rets there. I think it was a bit of a throw. They just needed to respond to the damage. I guess it doesn't matter what class Asber is playing. He's just going to burst you and tear you apart. Yeah. But that definitely wasn't something that I even saw coming. So 2rets, unfortunately, going to be getting caught off guard. I thought they found a good opportunity, but I guess it was a better one for Asber.
Yeah, like I almost wonder if they just got tunnel vision a little bit too much there, and they were like, no, we're gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him. Look, he's stunned out of form. We're gonna kill him right. Wait, why are you dead? Like that sort of thing just happened. Hopefully, maybe we can get a replay of that. Is just about to start here in about 5 seconds. These gates are going to be opening, and we will find out whether Northern Gaming Red can close this out, or if 2rets can stage a comeback.
Yeah, both of these teams have huge burst potential at the start of the match. Eventually, and Asber can both just blow anyone out of the water. It looks like Asber is leading the charge right now, and he's been aggressive in all of these games. And let's see if 2rets can punish this aggression. Eventually is caught into a stun as Asber is moving in. I think they're going to be going after Inviable here shortly. He needs to be ready for it. Disengages out of line of sight. He needs to start running right now, put his Nikes on, and start sprinting around. He's doing a good job avoiding damage so far. Really well done by Inviable to read this attack.
Yeah, he actually did a great job there. He managed to get just directly out of line of sight from Asber, and although this map is relatively similar to Nagrand Arena in its overall shape, with a couple exceptions, that pillar is much larger, so it's actually a lot more difficult for Asber in that situation to get around there. So Northern Gaming has sort of responded by just backing off for a second. Most importantly, Asber never used his Celestial Alignment in that opener. As soon as that disengage happened, he said, all right, just hold on, I'll just wait, and he'll use it in a minute. We do now have them moving in here. They've already put huge chunks of damage into Inviable. This is without any cooldowns coming out from Asber whatsoever. He did actually use his Trinket just there, but he has not yet used his Celestial Alignment, so he's just trying to force as much as they can out of 2rets at this point, trying to get any defensives out that they can, and they really haven't been super successful. They did put a big chunk of damage into Inviable, but that doesn't mean anything if they can't force out the cooldowns. And so at this point, 2rets, they're dealing with this initial sort of tease pretty well. In fact, they've actually managed to pull 2 Trinkets out from Northern Gaming Red.
I can't believe how bold Asber plays. Like, he's in the center of the map, 2 players attacking him, now finally blinking back defensively to try and eat the trap out from Inviable. Inviable he actually launched the trap. I believe it was eaten by a Trend. No, Samayam does eventually run into it. So good play from NG Red to see that trap was coming, stack up on their healer and prevent it from happening. We see Joxy caught into a stun. They're trying to follow that up with some CC. They do manage to secure a Frostjaw silence. They need to follow that up with more crowd control. They don't get it. Asber sees that they can't get it, and he clones Inviable instead. And that Cyclone will prevent any healing from coming into Inviable. Eventually choosing to bop Joxy out of that bash. Unfortunately, followed up with a full sheep. So that bop was basically wasted, and Inviable still in a lot of trouble. He's forced into that deterrence to answer Asber's Celestial Alignment, and that is going to be rolling maybe for a couple more seconds. If they can catch up to Inviable, they might be able to take him down. He's down to 40% HP. Cubsy even tossing out some damage. Inviable's pet went down. He's trying to res that as well. Joxy caught into a root beam. Somebody needs to get him out of that silence right now, but Inviable 1% HP, barely surviving. What a close call for 2rets. They've got to be having a heart attack right now. Their tournament life is on the line right now. They got to keep a level head. They've got to figure out a strategy to get this game going for themselves, because at this point it is looking hopeless.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, but Asbury is once again running that glyph of celestial alignment, which basically means that instead of having a set time limit on it, it lasts a minute, which is a long time. It means that he will no matter what, he will get 8 spell casts out of it. And so what we saw him do in the middle of that, as soon as he saw that Inviolable was able to pull back, as soon as that deterrence went out, he just stopped casting for a second, just held back, and that allowed him to put a big chunk of damage into Inviolable as soon as that deterrence wore off, which pulled out the second deterrence and that Spirit Link as well. So great choice by Asbury. That glyph is really doing work for him. Of course, as I say that, he's now over here just having to run away, trying to get some Cyclones out just to limit the damage he's taking. Cubsy caught into a full trap, does have his trinket available, but it looks like he's going to be able to hold on to it. Asbury doing a good job with those Cyclones, just making sure to prevent as much damage as possible. Now with that Fist of Justice, Cubsy's going to follow up with the Divine Shield, and that's a good choice because there's just so much pressure now coming out from 2 RETS. However, as soon as I say that, both of their cooldowns just came up, Inviolable with his Murder of Crows and Evangeline with his Avenging Wrath. So we could see a big swing of damage coming out from 2 RETS here very soon.
Joxy for 2 RETS is going to be the playmaker on the next attack from Northern Gaming. He needs to be ready to get his Spirit Link down to save Inviolable, because Inviolable doesn't have anything left to keep the match going. So now with this full polymorph, Northern Gaming Red, they want to pull the trigger. They're not able to do it. They actually break the polymorph. So a huge misplay from Northern Gaming, and now 2 RETS can reverse the pressure, bringing all of their cooldowns out onto Asbury. Cubsy responding with all of his cooldowns as well. This should be an even tie as Northern Gaming decided to just control the entire battlefield. Evangeline clone, Inviolable polyed, and now they're kind of forced to run away. Inviolable caught into a bash, and this is where Joxy needs to make the play. Evangeline actually decides to be the playmaker. He's going to bubble out of that CC, but I don't think his off healing will be enough, and I feel like his bubble was wasted. Joxy was forced to trinket anyway, and now with Evangeline's bubble down and Joxy's trinkets down, it's looking even more hopeless. I have no idea how 2 RETS are going to pull this off.
Yeah, they're gonna need a miracle at this point. Inviolable sitting at half health. He does not have a deterrence. There are no Spirit Links available from Joxy. He needs to find a way to stay alive and just keep out of line of sight. He's trying to keep up as much pressure as he can right now, but it's really, really super dangerous for him to be poking out here like this. He's putting a good chunk of damage into Asbury right now, along with Evangeline, but now Evangeline has to pull back and in fact get cycloned. So now that's going to trigger Asbury to start moving in here. He's got his Celestial Alignment available. He's ready to just put a giant chunk of damage into Inviolable and just finish him off. He does have deterrence available, and Spirit Link will be coming up for Joxy in 8 seconds. So if Asbury can make a move here in the next couple of seconds, he might have an opportunity, but it looks like 2 RETS actually may have been able to just hang on. There's the Celestial Alignment now coming out, but with that deterrence and Spirit Link totem available for 2 RETS, I feel like he may have missed his opportunity there.
I think Asbury just threw an opportunity to win the game. I don't know if it's going to cost him the game, but that Celestial Alignment did not accomplish anything, and Cubsy even used Bop to keep Asbury aggressive, and they got nothing. So Cubsy's just down a cooldown. If Evangeline and Inviolable can connect onto Asbury with this next Avenging Wrath in 14 seconds, they might find a window of opportunity to claim victory. And it looks like they're kind of reluctant. They're always on defense. 2 RETS are just not able to find an opportunity to leave the pillar. If they do, Asbury will literally evaporate their bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're obviously not something you generally want to have happen to yourself. Turns out having your body evaporated, probably fairly painful, not something I would really recommend. But yeah, we're going to be looking for Evangeline and Inviolable to be pushing in here relatively soon. Now that they know that Asbury's Celestial Alignment is no longer available, they're actually mounting up, at least Evangeline was, looking for an opportunity. It's actually Asbury that's going to be pushing in, once again coming in here using that Solar Beam to try and put out some pressure and put out the Solar Beam. As long as you're standing in it, you can't cast. So if he can land the Solar Beam and the roots at the same time, it's really bad for Joxy, but actually Asbury taking a ton of damage. Cubsy forced to use his Divine Shield there just to be able to force, to be able to avoid all the CC and put out more healing.
2 RETS have created a win condition. They got Barskin out of the way and they got Bubble out of the way on Cubsy. If they can get Cubsy's trinket on this next setup, I think they could just end the game. Evangeline's been very patient with his cooldowns. He's held onto them for a long time, and as long as they can stay alive to that moment of opportunity, they might be able to claim victory. This might be it. Evangeline's pulling the trigger. Cubsy sees it coming. He trinkets out. He needs to get some hard-casted heals. Somebody needs to interrupt Cubsy. Someone needs to be on top of him, interrupting him. He's just faking all the interrupts. Cubsy, the fake god, will keep Asbury alive, and that window of opportunity has now been lost for the 2 RETS team.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Evangeline used his cooldowns that early, because there was only about 15 seconds left on Inviolable's Murder of Crows when he actually used that. And what happened was Inviolable was just caught the entire time. Evangeline dips super low, has to use his Divine Shield as he gets caught into that Solar Beam. And Inviolable still taking tons and tons and tons of damage, getting super low, actually has to use his Deterrence. He will have another one available in about 12 seconds, but is that enough time? He's getting super low. Joxy just getting constantly CC, just barely manages to get that Spirit Link out before that Cyclone landed on him, and it was able to heal up Inviolable with that. But they're running on fumes at this point. The Deterrence has now come up for Inviolable, so he has that available. Evangeline's taking tons of damage. Joxy's taking tons of damage. Inviolable's taking tons of damage. And Asper has got a Celestial Alignment in 2 seconds.
This is not looking good for 2 Rets right now. They're trying to set up a kill here onto Asper. If they do not kill him here and now, it is not looking good as Asper decides to counter pressure, and boom, that's just going to be it. You run into the face of a balanced druid like Asper, and like I said, you are going to evaporate, and that is just what happened to Evangeline. So Northern Gaming Red, they are the second team to advance to the North American Regionals, defeating 2 Rets 3-1.
Yeah, so congratulations to Northern Gaming as a whole. They've had a pretty good showing here today, I would say. Of course, both Northern Gaming Red excuse me, and Northern Gaming Black have now moved on to the grand finals. It's going to be a Northern Gaming finals. Of course, both teams have now qualified, but there